This video is sponsored by Sonata, the source to find the best royalty-free music that sets the mood for your video work. Check out Sonata by using the link in the description. As a cinematographer, picking the right gear that you need to use on a shoot is of course extremely important. One of the most important bits of gear to put on your rental list are cinema lenses. They are chosen on the basis of two factors. One, the kind of look that they produce, and two, their practical and ergonomic advantages or disadvantages. The look and aesthetic feel for each project may be different, and the kind of shooting environment and setups needed will also be different depending on the situation and story. So to better equip you, and I guess because I'm a bit of a lens nerd, I'm going to look at 3 more cinema lenses that are popularly used in the high-end film industry, breaking down their look and their practical design. And at the end of the video, take a look at one lens contraption that's a bit of an oddity, but a pretty interesting piece of kit. So stick around. First up, we have the JDC Xtal Xpress lenses, an interesting set of vintage anamorphic primes made for 35mm. It's a bit tricky to verify, but based on what people have told me, this set of lenses is mainly made up of spherical glass from vintage Cooke S2 and Cooke S3 elements, combined with Japanese anamorphic elements. Hence why they are sometimes called the Cooke Xtal Xpress. This glass was then packaged and housed as a lens by Joe Dunton Cameras, JDC. They were later bought out by the gear rental house Panavision, who are a major supplier of renting out their inventory. Although perhaps not as well known as some of the bigger producers of anamorphic glass, this set of lenses is still fairly popular amongst DPs, based on my anecdotal experience as a second AC, particularly amongst European and UK cinematographers. On the surface, they're a bit of an odd-looking bunch. Different focal lengths come in different lengths, different weights, with different sized front diameters and different stops. Although they are fairly well constructed, they were made a while ago and do need to be handled with care, as they are not as robust as the housings on other modern lenses such as the newer Cooke Anamorphics, which we'll get to later. This may mean turning down the strength of the torque on a wireless focus motor and being more gentle when pulling focus. Practically, their longer build, especially on longer focal lengths like the 100mm, may make them a bit front heavy on cameras and therefore a bit tricky to balance on a gimbal or Steadicam without adding extra weights to the body to balance it out. While they are long, they aren't particularly heavy, so are still good lenses for applications such as handheld camera movement. Their different front diameter sizes also means that camera assistants need to switch out the back of the matte box to different sizes or use custom-made reduction rings depending on the lens. But what they lack in practicality, they more than make up for with their interesting production of images. They produce what I'd call quite a heavily vintage anamorphic look. This means they have quite a bit of distortion at the edges of the frame, especially at wider focal lengths, which will lead to straight lines such as door frames bending. They also have heavy fall-off around the edges of the images. This means that characters will appear sharp in the center of the frame, but when placed on the edges of an image may seem out of focus, even though they are not, due to the lens's anamorphic fall-off and softness. Wide open, they have a beautiful, soft, dreamy look, with oval bokeh and lovely flares, perfect for those with a taste for vintage anamorphics. To compare the crystals to a more modern anamorphic option, let's take a look at the Cooke Anamorphic eye lenses, which are made to cover a 35mm sensor. Whereas the crystals use older Cooke S2 glass, the newer anamorphic eye lenses are made with glass that have modern coatings. So while they are sharper across the frame, they still maintain some of those lovely anamorphic image characteristics when shot wide open, such as blooming horizontal flares, oval bokeh, and a more gradual anamorphic fall-off around the edges. On a scale from soft and vintage glass like the crystals To super sharp, super clean modern glass like the Zeiss Master Anamorphics, I'd put the anamorphic eye lenses somewhere in the middle. They come in a large range of 10 focal lengths, which is a lot for a set of anamorphic primes that typically have fewer focal lengths than spherical lens sets. This includes everything from a wide 28mm to a macro 65mm for close-up work without needing to opt to filters, and a telephoto 300mm. They cut together well and carry the same consistent color reproduction as other modern lenses in the Cooke spherical range, such as the S4s and the S5s. This has been dubbed the Cooke look, which refers to their overall warmth, high contrast, natural color reproduction, and their sharp but smooth, pleasing rendering of details. This look is paired with the modern construction of a super solid, durable lens housing with accurate, well-spaced distance and iris markings, and a smooth focus action when you turn the focus gear. This, along with their more standardized sizes across the range, makes them a pleasure for camera assistants to work with. A final useful feature comes from the eye part of their name. This refers to a contact point situated on the mount of the lens that connects to a contact point on the PL mount of most high-end cameras. It's used to send metadata from the lens, such as its focal length, focus distance, and stop, to the camera, where it is recorded for each frame. This is useful as it negates the need for focus pullers to program distance measurements into some wireless follow focus systems, and it provides information that is useful in post-production special effects work. As we know, good images from that perfect lens only make up half of a film. The other half of the work is done with sound. A good way to support the on-screen images that we capture is with music. I like to use the sponsor of this video, Sonata, to find the right royalty-free tracks for my videos. Whether you need music for a short film or a YouTube video, you can use Sonata to easily add the perfect musical tone without stressing about licensing. Sonata is a website that provides a wide, high-quality selection of music that you can download and use with an unlimited license for all your film projects. You can find the right song that suits the tone that you want easily by using their filtering tools that can categorize the music by genre, mood, themes, instruments, and other criteria, which cuts down on time spent browsing and frees you up to spend more time on the editing process. So if you're looking for great affordable music for your videos starting from $9.99 a month, then I'd recommend having a look at Sonata. You can check out Sonata by getting a 30-day free trial using my link in the description, which you can cancel anytime and still use any tracks from that trial period. So go check it out today. Next, let's turn to spherical lenses and take a look at a very popular product in the Zeiss lineup, the Ultra Primes. If we look at the timeline of cinema lens releases from Zeiss, the Ultra Primes were developed after the Super Speeds, but before the Master Primes. This is fitting, as I think both technically and in terms of their look, they also occupy the middle ground between those two spherical prime lens sets. The Super Speeds have a subtle vintage quality to them. The Master Primes are supremely sharp, clean and modern, and the look of the Ultra Primes sits somewhere in between them. Their look is very similar to that of Master Primes, and the two sets can easily be cut together. Their color reproduction is accurate but neutral, or slightly cooler than something like a Cooke. They are sharp, and flare ever so slightly more than Master Primes, which flare very little. The choice of whether to shoot on Master Primes or Ultra Primes often comes down to their technical designs. In terms of their build, they are lightweight and compact, a little bit chunkier than the Super Speeds but smaller than the Master Primes. With a stop of T1.9, they are very fast, produce considerable circular bokeh, and are good for low light conditions, but are slightly slower than the T1.3 Super Speeds and Master Primes. They come in 15 different focal lengths, ranging all the way from an 8mm extreme wide angle to a 180mm telephoto. This means they have the widest focal length coverage of pretty much any prime lens set available. This gives them an edge over the master primes for cinematographers who are very specific about their focal lengths and like to cover every in-between prime, such as having a 28mm focal length between a 24mm and a 32mm. Like the relatively modern Cooke lenses we discussed, the ultra primes also offer a high-quality, durable build with good markings that make them quick and easy to work with. Finally, let's take a look at something a bit more unusual. This quote-unquote lens might not be strictly popular, but I guess you could say it's popular for achieving a specific application. It's not even a lens per se, but rather a lens system that can be attached to a camera for specialty macro shots where the lens needs to be squeezed into a space and be incredibly close to the subject, sometimes at unusual angles. Often referred to as a snorkel or periscope, the Frazier lens system is attached to a cinema camera via PL mount. At the end of its long extended barrel filled with glass and mirrors, there's a second lens mount which is designed to take the capture lens, which is usually a small manual iris still lens such as a Nikon AIS. So why would you shoot with this contraption? It has a swivel tip that allows you to tilt, pan or rotate what the camera sees without having to rotate the camera itself. Because of its thin design, it also means the lens can be squeezed into very tight spaces close to what it is photographing. This makes it a popular way to capture and move the camera around miniature sets. A drawback is that it has an aperture of t7.1. This means that a lot of light is needed to achieve exposure. Because of its build, it is however easier to light macro shots without the camera blocking the light source. Since you usually want to shoot extreme macro shots at as deep a stop as possible to make it easier to focus, this t7.1 aperture isn't actually a big deal. They have an iris and a focus gear on the barrel near where the PL mount is, so that assistants are able to manipulate focus, while the focus on the taking lens is set at a distance and left there. To better explain a real-world application, here's a BTS photo I snapped on a commercial shoot I was working on as a second AC. This system was used to get the lens within about an inch of our subject's eye to achieve an extreme macro shot and still have space to get in studio light. We used the Frazier lens system on an Alexa Mini with a Nikon AIS taking lens. And finally, since we're talking about Nikon AIS lenses, I'd like to send a final shout out and RIP to my own set of Nikons that were unfortunately stolen this week. They are amazing little lenses that saw a lot of action over the years and were always my go-to lenses for documentary shoots. RIP little Nikons, you'll be dearly missed. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this week's video. As always, it was made possible by all you guys who watch, like and subscribe, as well as those on Patreon who very kindly donate to get these weekly videos ad-free. Otherwise, until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.